Well, we're out exploring. We thought we could get to somewhere and got to nowhere.
Everywhere is somewhere.
Yeah, but it didn't lead to where we thought we were going to go. So we're turning around before we end up in a horror film.
No, I mean, we could do it. It's just that you're not dressed for that ravine. So.
No, I didn't have on my hiking boots because we were going to stay on the trail. But we decided we wanted to try and get to this river, and there was no access from the trail, so we thought we would cut through the woods. It's just not happening. But anyway, he wanted to talk about, he didn't tell me, some deer tracks.
Yeah, it's been busy through here.
Yeah, dried up creek bed. It's been dried up for a while.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of damp.
Yeah, that's it.
Right here.
It accumulates water occasionally.
Yeah.
When it rains.
Yeah, if you get a heavy enough rain.
Drainage area.
But I know you want to talk about something, but I just thought about something. It's nice to know your area.
Yeah.
In case, everything hits the fan. You can have an area to go, because this is a well-known hiking trail. But again,
not where we are.
Not where we are, because we thought we were going to hit this river bed. This river, it has a little beach. We thought we could get to it by cutting through these woods, but you can't. And then we found this creek bed, and I'm sure if you follow this creek bed, you'll get somewhere.
Yeah, we frequently go off the trails.
Yeah, but anyway, back to what you wanted to talk about.
And this kind of comes up out of a comment that was made, and I'll read it. I'll read it so I don't misquote this. And I did respond to this, didn't get a response back. But it says, and this, I think this was on the drone video. It said, what makes you think the military would actually have the manpower to last against hundreds of millions? Our military is very small. How many soldiers would actually participate in killing off their hometown? Really? Do I have to answer this? And I had responded, it said, ask any country in history that's been completely suppressed by their government how a handful of armed men were able to corral millions without a fight. All throughout history, you've seen examples of this. People don't think, oh, our military is not going to work against us. The National Guard's not going to hurt us. The police, law enforcement aren't going to hurt us because they took an oath. So did all your politicians.
Yeah.
So did a lot of people took an oath or signed a contract or something silly like that. All it is something you recited to get a job. A piece of paper that you signed, and who gives a damn, right?
Yeah.
It's only as good as the person who took the oath or signed the contract. That's what matters, not the piece of paper, not the words. For most people, that paper and those words don't mean anything. Not even the people who are collecting it. They only collect that stuff. They only collect those signatures or make you take that oath so they can try to use it against you if they have a problem. But what makes you think that the military, the National Guard, law enforcement won't work against the people? And what makes you think you need an overwhelming force?
Yeah.
Hundreds of millions of people. Okay, there's hundreds of millions of people in the United States. Sure. But for a variety of reasons. Some of them are too young, too old, too sick, too indifferent, too frightened to even think about mounting a resistance if it came down to something like that against going head-to-head with your government. Okay? A very small handful of people would actually be willing to put up any kind of resistance. So the government doesn't have to worry about fighting 300-400 million people. Maybe 3,000 or 4,000. You know, they're not thinking in terms of fighting an entire population. They don't have to fight an entire population because most of the population will allow themselves to be suppressed. There's examples of this all throughout history and even in modern times. Hell, our society's being oppressed now by the government, and people are very willing to go for it in the current plandemic, if you will, if I can say that without getting in trouble with ScrewTube. But how many people just fell in line? And if you look around and you ask people, there's a lot of people that are really bought in, they're brainwashed, and there's a lot of people that don't buy it. But they still cooperate. Why? Because they were told to. and because they're afraid of fighting the system or being ostracized or not getting services or having to deal with people trying to force them to cooperate. There's a lot to be said for that. And there's a lot of historical accounts of oaths not being recognized, or law enforcement and military doing things that are unethical. Was it unethical or against the oath in Louisiana when the National Guards and the sheriff's office and everybody was going around confiscating guns door to door after Katrina? Was that unethical? Was that a violation of the oath of office? Or what about that guy, who is it, that pastor in Florida?
Yeah, during the beginning of the pandemic.
No, the pastor in Florida. It's illegal to feed homeless people.
Oh yeah, I ran into that because I used to
Yeah.
be a part of a church, and we fed the homeless on Saturdays. And it was a group, it was our group and other groups, and we would all have, basically the same route, but we had our own areas. And it came out in our area that we were going to be stopped and told to pack up. And after that, we went out anyway.
Yeah.
And the police were out there. And all they did was drive by and kind of circled around, but they did not stop us.
Yeah, they didn't stop you, but in Florida they will.
They will. Yeah,
and
they did.
That pastor's been arrested, like, I want to say like a half a dozen times. He's an old guy, he's in his 80s. And I saw some footage of this with the sheriff's office and the sheriff and the deputies, and they're like, yeah, you know what, we really hate having to do this because he's just trying to help people, but the law is the law, whatever. So you have a moral and ethical problem with arresting this old man for giving out sandwiches, and you still did it.
Yeah.
Think about that.
And one thing I wanted to add, for people who are always love to say, you took an oath and the military took an oath. The oath, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember it word for word, but it does say that you will defend this country, the United States, from its enemies, both foreign and domestic.
Yeah, and you want to interpret that as meaning even if your enemy is the government. But to the soldier, to most of them, the enemy is whoever the government tells them it is.
It is, yeah.
Look at what happened in the Ukraine, and I'm glad you brought that up. She's got a very long military career on the other side of the camera here. The Ukraine, not too long ago, people have forgotten this already. There was a big revolution. Do you remember the video footage? People with wooden shields and baseball bats and Molotov cocktails, because they're not allowed to have guns up there. The government took that right away from them a long time ago. Crawling towards the Capitol, getting sniped by law enforcement and military, getting shot to pieces for days and days and days, with no leadership left. They were gone, and these people were still following orders, still shooting their own citizens, their own brothers and sisters, if you will, because they were told to. So at what point, where was the oath then? Where were the morals and ethics then? Where was the law enforcement officer or military person in that scenario that stood up and said, you know what, this is over, why don't I just go home? Why don't you? Because they just don't. Okay, I'm sorry, it's the human condition. Most of the time they'll follow orders. The function of a soldier is to obey.
Yeah.
GI, government issue. Okay, look at it like that. So, and I'm not saying all this to discourage people and make you think you need to curl up in a ball and die. If push comes to shove, I hope you have what it takes to stand up, honestly, but be realistic about it.
Also on that realistic, just to add one more thing, sorry to keep in the
You're fine. You're fine.
Because you said in the comment, the person was saying that America's military force is small.
Yeah.
But use common sense. You don't need a big military to wipe a country out.
No.
And the proof was in 9/11 when the U.S. invaded Iraq. And they put all these boots on the ground, and boots on the ground is physical soldiers.
Yes.
On the ground in that area, And everybody was like, why are you sending all these troops? You don't have to. You don't have to. Everybody knows you get a battleship, they can be 200 miles away.
Yeah.
You can get 5 fighter pilots to fly over a land and carpet bomb it. You don't need a military of 1 million people. You don't need a military the size of China's military to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you really believe that, you're living in with your head in the sand, because it's not needed.
And that was proven during Iraq.
Yeah, that was proven. Yeah, they had soldiers, and the soldiers are there for show of force.
Basically.
We're going to have people there patrolling the streets and knocking on doors, kicking down doors as a show of force. And then you have medics in the background as a show of mercy. Okay, that's the tactic.
And that's political theater in combat.
But to actually get a country to submit, you don't need one soldier foot to touch that ground.
They proved that during that because they spent a month blowing the hell out of the whole country.
Yeah.
From ships and from aircraft.
Yeah.
By the time Marines and Army started crossing the border, there's nothing left to do.
Yeah, it was nothing left. It was nothing there. And don't think they won't do it in America. They will, because they don't care about nothing.
No.
You know, they want you to submit. They'll get you to submit.
Yeah, they'll find a way to do it, and it doesn't take but a large force, and you can see that historically across the board, even in modern times. Entire populations are controlled by what? The threat of a handful of armed people.
And if you wonder, oh, people won't submit, look how many people wear masks.
Yeah.
People will submit.
Like I said, and half of them don't even believe it.
No.
They just don't want to deal with the repercussions of not doing it.
They don't want to get looked at.
Yeah, basically.
All they need is a sign on a door to say no entry without a mask.
And that was it.
And that's all it took.
That's all it took, and that's the classic example right now of a population being, especially in the digital age, you know, when they can turn off your bank account, they can turn off your they can cut off your paychecks. They can do anything they want to you and get away with it, digitally speaking.
Yeah.
And so, again, I'm not saying all of this to be discouraging, but you've got to look at the big picture and be realistic about it. You can't just assume that because your local sheriff, when he was running for office, and I did a video on that some time ago about trusting your local sheriff, when he sat there and said, I'm not going to do this and that if it happens, so that he could get elected.
Yeah.
Because that's a political position. If you're getting elected to it, it's political.
Yeah, and you'll do whatever the higher-ups tell you to do.
Eventually, yeah.
So you can get reelected.
And if you resist, they'll just fire you and replace you. It's that simple. But I just wanted to touch on that.
Okay.
And just, you know, again, just be realistic about it. It's the same thing as like with the drone video. You got to be realistic about how powerful this technology is and what that means. You can't just assume something won't happen. You can't assume they're not going to do their jobs or do what they're told, blow up their hometown. So they'll just have somebody from a different town do it. You know, it's that simple. These people, when something goes down and they bring riot police in, aren't those police from that community? Think about it.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I guess that's it. I mean, what else can I say? But if you have any points to make, you can post it in the comments section. And what more can I say but stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.
One more point as we were trying to find our way out of this rat's nest.
Yeah, she had one more thing that she wanted to say.
We were talking about, you know, soldiers not performing in law enforcement, not performing their jobs. But one thing people don't realize, and I don't think they want to admit to themselves really.
Yeah.
You got people out there that want to kill. And when I say that, I mean they actually want to have the experience of taking another life, another human life.
Yeah.
And the only thing that keeps them at bay right now is the threat of being found out, going to prison, that whole rigmarole.
Yeah. Murder
Yeah.
versus I was under orders.
Yeah, because if you were under orders, you can kind of justify that to yourself in your mind, and you can
Yeah.
be at peace. You can come to a peace. Not saying, and I'm not minimizing people that were in a combat, or police officers, or even someone in home defense.
And in the line of fire
Yeah,
situation.
I'm not trying to minimize that. I'm not. But there are people, I've seen them, I've known them, that if the opportunity
Especially
came,
in the military.
yeah, if the opportunity came and they knew without a shadow of a doubt they can kill someone and nothing is going to happen to them, no repercussions, no nothing, they'll get rewarded, they'll get a slap on the
you'll
back.
get a medal.
Yeah, they will do it. And the opportunity, like the grid going down, everything hitting the fan, and the government says, okay, we're going to go out, we're going to deputize some people, and we're going to go out and we're going to round up the resistance by any means necessary.
Curfew and martial law and all of that.
And it reminds me of a movie. It came out, I want to say in the 70s. You remember, it's a true story called The Experiment. And it's a college.
Yeah, it's based on a true story. Yeah.
I don't remember where the college is. Somewhere up north on the East Coast. They did an experiment. They got some college students, and it was supposed to be a week. It only lasted 2 days.
Half of them were prisoners and half of them were guards.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do an experiment testing interaction.
Yeah.
And yeah, within 48 hours,
they
had lost control of the
They
experiment.
had to shut the experiment down, and they asked the guy that was playing the guard, why were you doing that? You know, because he was the one. He was awful.
The one guy started it.
He was like, because I could.
Yeah.
And nothing was going to happen.
He wanted to see how far he could get away, what he could get away with.
Yeah.
Basically.
And there are people like that. And if you give them a pass, a key, a green card, and you say, okay, we're going to round up the resistance by any means necessary, no holds barred. Oh, it's open season.
Yeah.
And they want that opportunity. So don't think, and it could be your neighbor, it might be you.
Yeah.
You know, don't think, oh, nobody will do that. Oh, yeah, okay.
No, there's a lot of dirty people out there. There's a lot of evil people out there. Society likes to pretend like that's not the case now. We're supposed to try to understand everybody and kumbaya and kiss my ass. But you really can't trust it.
No, you can't. And again, we're not trying to put fear, but we want you to think and slow your thoughts down and really look deeper into a matter, into a situation, and into people. Because you know, everything isn't what it seems on the surface.
Yeah, don't think a step ahead, think 10.
Yeah.
And look at the different variables, look at the different directions that all of that can go in.
Yeah, and you don't have to be in the realm of a conspiracy theorist. You just have to be a realist and set aside all this Sesame Street and Barney and look at life as the way it is.
Modern Sesame Street, the classic Sesame Street's much better.
But anyway, we just wanted to add that tidbit.
Absolutely.